Dear friends, today I'm going to tell you a true story that could happen to any of us. On April 8, 2025, a Tuesday, in the city of Cincinnati, Ohio, 72-year-old Margaret Ann Cooper opened her bank account and discovered there was $1,247 left in it. 3 days earlier, there had been $42,300, her entire Social Security and pension savings from the past year and a half, money set aside for medical treatment, new glasses, and dental work. The money wasn't stolen by phone scammers. It wasn't drained by a computer virus. That money was taken by her own son, who had access to her debit card for emergencies. My name is Robert Williams. I'm 67 years old. I worked for 32 years at a Wells Fargo branch, spending the last 10 years focused on protecting clients from financial fraud. I've seen thousands of stories, but the most terrifying ones aren't about strangers in masks or telephone con artists. The most terrifying ones are about the people sitting with you at the dinner table on Thanksgiving. This story is based on a real police report, bank documents, and my personal conversations with Margaret and her family. I've changed the names to protect privacy, but Margaret herself asked me to tell this story so that others won't suffer in silence. Friends, a small request. Please support this channel with a like and subscription. Thank you. Let's begin. I met Margaret by chance, or rather not by chance. Her neighbor from the same apartment building, Linda Martinez, brought her to my Wells Fargo branch on April 15, 2025, around 10 in the morning. I remember it was an unusually warm spring day, the smell of fresh-cut grass in the air, birds chirping outside the branch windows. Margaret walked in slowly, leaning on a cane, wearing a gray coat that clearly dated back to the 1990s. Her face was gaunt, eyes red, hands trembling as she handed me her driver's license. I was still working then, set to retire in 3 months, but I came in every day at 8 a.m. because I couldn't imagine sitting at home doing nothing. After years of work, I learned to read people, to see when someone is afraid, when they're ashamed, when they want to say something but can't. Margaret was silent. Her neighbor Linda spoke for her, a woman in her early 60s, wearing a floral scarf, loud and determined. "Rob," she said, "this is a family matter, but Margaret is afraid to go to the police, afraid her kids will get arrested, but they've bled her dry. Please help." I pulled up a printout of Margaret's account activity for the past 6 months. As I read, I felt a cold crawl up my spine. Every month, transfers. Small ones, medium ones, large ones, to accounts with names David C., Jennifer C., Tyler C., her son, daughter-in-law, and grandson. First $700 here and there, then $1,500, then $3,000. By March 2025, the account that once held nearly $43,000 was empty. Pennies remained. Her Social Security came on the 10th of each month, and by the 20th it was already gone. "My son said he'd pay me back," Margaret said quietly, her voice shaking. "Said he had problems at work, that he urgently needed it, that it was for a month, then 2 months, then he stopped answering my calls." She fell silent, wiped her eyes with a tissue. It smelled of mothballs and old perfume. "I'm afraid that if I complain, he'll face criminal charges. He's my son, my only one. I didn't know then that in a month I would retire myself and start this YouTube channel. Didn't know that Margaret's story would be the first of dozens I'd hear over the next 6 months. Didn't know that financial exploitation of elderly parents by their own children isn't an exception but a silent epidemic, shameful to talk about, impossible to stay silent about." Margaret spoke slowly. She paused, remembered. We sat in a small conference room at the bank, drank coffee from paper cups, and I wrote down every word. It all started in November 2023. Margaret had just buried her husband, Robert Sr., lung cancer. He went fast, 2 months from diagnosis to the end. After the funeral, she was left alone in a 2-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of Cincinnati, on the 5th floor of a 7-story building. The elevator worked half the time. Neighbors said hello but didn't get close. Her children, son David, 45, worked as a manager at a construction company, and daughter Jennifer, 42, an accountant, lived across town, visited rarely, on holidays, sometimes on weekends. In December 2023, a week before Christmas, David called, his voice anxious. "Mom, I've got trouble at work. They delayed my paycheck, and I need to close out a credit card or the penalties start piling up. Can you lend me $2,000? I'll pay you back next month when I get my bonus." Margaret didn't hesitate. She had just received her husband's life insurance payout, $35,000. The money sat in her savings account. She withdrew $2,000. January came and went. David didn't call. Margaret didn't ask. She felt awkward. He's my son, she thought. If he could, he would have paid me back, so he must not be able to yet. In February 2024, another call, this time from her daughter-in-law, Jennifer. Margaret, we've got a problem. Tyler needs money for college prep, SAT tutoring, application fees. You know how hard it is for kids these days. Can you help? Maybe $3,500? Margaret hesitated. The $2,000 still hadn't been returned, and now another $3,500? But Tyler was her grandson, her only one. She wanted him to have everything, wanted to feel needed. She agreed. On February 14, 2024, she transferred $3,500 to Jennifer's account through her Wells Fargo mobile app. David had taught her to use the app last year, said, "It's easier this way, Mom. You don't have to go to the bank." March, April, May. Every month, a new request. David needed car repairs. Jennifer needed dental work. Tyler needed a new phone because his old one broke. The amounts grew. $1,200, $1,800, $2,800. Each time Margaret told herself, this is the last time, then they'll definitely pay me back. But no repayments came, and the requests continued. By summer 2024, $17,000 remained in her account. Margaret began to feel anxious. She needed money for medications. She had hypertension, type 2 diabetes, arthritis. Pills cost about $900 a month. Her Social Security was $2,100. After utilities, food, and medication, very little remained. She started economizing, bought the cheapest items, stopped visiting friends to save on gas, stopped calling her children first, waited for them to call. But they only called when they needed money. Fall 2024 was cold. Margaret caught a cold in October. The cough lasted 3 weeks. Her doctor prescribed antibiotics, but they weren't covered by Medicare Part D, so she had to pay out of pocket, $320. She withdrew the last of her ready cash. $6,200 remained in her account. November 5, 2024, Tuesday, around 8 p.m., David called, his voice tense, almost angry. "Mom, I've got an urgent situation. I need $4,000 right now." Margaret was frightened. "David, what happened? Are you okay?" "Everything's fine, Mom. I just need the money, urgently. Can you transfer it?" "David, I barely have anything left. I needed myself for medication." Silence, heavy. Then David exhaled, and something cold entered his voice. "Mom, what are you talking about? You've got $30,000 sitting there. Why are you haggling with me like I'm a stranger?" "David, there isn't $30,000 anymore. You borrowed it. Jennifer borrowed it. I gave to Tyler." "So what? You're our mother. We'll give you everything back if we have to, and you're making a fuss over a few dollars." Margaret felt something tighten in her chest. She wanted to cry but held back. "Okay, David, I'll transfer it. Whatever's left, I'll transfer." With shaking hands, she opened the app, transferred $5,800, everything in the account except $400 for utilities. David hung up, didn't say thank you, didn't call back. A week later, November 12, 2024, Margaret fell in the building stairwell, tripped.
Linda Martinez is a decisive woman. She used to work as a factory floor supervisor, used to solving problems directly. The next day, November 13, 2024, she called David, found his number in Margaret's phone. "Hello, David Cooper? This is Linda Martinez, your mother's neighbor. Did you know she fell in the stairwell yesterday?" "Huh? No, I didn't know. She didn't call me." "She didn't call because she's afraid to bother you. When's the last time you visited your mother?" Pause. "Well, 3 weeks ago, maybe? I've got work, you understand. No time. But you have time to ask for money." Silence. Then the voice turned cold. "Excuse me, but who are you to butt into our business?" "I'm the neighbor who picked your mother up off the floor. And you know what I'm going to tell you, young man? You robbed her." "What? What right do you have?" "I have the right, because she told me everything. How much have you squeezed out of her in a year? 30,000? More? That's our family business. She's my mother. She gives it willingly." "She gives because she's afraid of losing you, afraid that if she refuses, you'll stop coming at all, and you only come when you need money." David raised his voice. "Listen, lady, mind your own business." Dial tone. Linda put down the phone. Her hands shook with anger. She knew his type. Knew words wouldn't help. Documents were needed, evidence, and someone who could help Margaret say no. December 2024, Margaret received her Social Security, $2,100. $850 immediately went to utilities, $400 to medications, $850 remained. On December 18, 2024, Jennifer called. "Margaret, Merry Christmas in advance. Listen, we've got a situation. Tyler needs a laptop for school. The university requires it. Can you help? Maybe $2,800? Margaret took a breath. Jennifer, I don't have $2,800. What do you mean? You just got your check. I did, but I have to live too. Pause. Then Jennifer's voice hardened. So you're refusing your grandson? I'm not refusing. I really don't have it. Margaret, you understand we're not strangers either. We do so much for you. David hung that shelf in your hallway last year, and we take out your trash when we visit. Margaret felt her cheeks burn. Jennifer, I'm grateful, but, well, fine, then at least $1,200. You can't just say no like that. Margaret closed her eyes. Her heart pounded. She wanted to hang up, but couldn't. Okay, $1,200, but this is the last time. Of course, thank you so much. We'll definitely pay you back. She transferred $1,200 on December 19, 2024. $450 remained until her next check. She bought rice, bread, eggs. The tea ran out, but she didn't have enough for a new box. Linda brought some of hers. She spent New Year's alone. David and Jennifer sent a voice message. Mom, Happy New Year. Sorry, we're at Jennifer's parents' price. Can't make it over. Hugs. She sat.
January and February 2025 passed in tension. Margaret barely left the apartment, afraid to spend unnecessarily. Social Security covered only food and utilities. She bought medication every other time. Her blood pressure spiked. Her legs swelled. But she didn't go to the doctor. Copays, too expensive. Free clinics, a month-long wait. March 8, 2025, David came over, brought cheap tulips and a box of chocolates. They sat, drank tea. Margaret was happy. Her son came just because, not for money. Maybe things would get better. But after half an hour, David leaned back and said, Mom, listen, I need your help. Serious help. Her heart sank. David, I can't give you any more money. I really have nothing left. No, Mom, you didn't understand. I don't need money. I need you to take out a loan in your name. Margaret froze. What loan? Well, a small one, $30,000. The bank won't give it to me. They say my credit's bad, but they'll give it to you. You're on Social Security. You get better rates. I'll make the payments, of course. Just put it in your name. David, I can't take out a loan. I won't be able to pay it if something happens. Nothing's going to happen, Mom. I'm telling you, I'll make the payments. You won't have to do anything. Just sign the papers. David, no, I'm sorry. I'm scared. David frowned, stood up. His voice got louder. So you don't trust me? I do trust you, but what? I'm your son. I'm asking you for help and you're refusing me. After everything I've done for you. David, what have you done for me? The last 6 months you've only taken money. Ah, there it is. So you're keeping count, right? Counting how much you gave me? I knew you. Margaret started crying. David grabbed his jacket and left, slamming the door. She sat in the kitchen, tears dripping into her tea. The next day, March 9, 2025, Tyler called, his voice quiet, guilty. Grandma, it's me. Tyler, how are you? Sorry I haven't called in a while. School, you know. Listen, Grandma, Dad says you refuse to help him with the loan. Tyler, I can't take out a loan. I won't be able to pay it back. Grandma, I understand. But you understand Dad really has problems? He's not asking to be mean. Tyler, I know, but I have problems too. I don't have enough for myself. Pause. Then Tyler sighed. Okay, Grandma, I understand. Just, Dad said that if you don't help, we probably can't visit for a while. You know, so we don't upset you. What? Well, that's what he said. Sorry, I'll tell him you can't. Dial tone. Margaret lowered the phone. Her hands wouldn't hold it. Her temples throbbed. This was blackmail. Soft, wrapped in concern, but blackmail. A week later, April 15th, 2025, Linda came to Margaret again, brought homemade pie and a thermos of tea. Margaret, how are things? Fine, Linda, getting by. Have the kids called? Silence.
They haven't called, have they? Tyler called, said they won't be visiting for a while. Linda clenched her fists. Margaret, enough. Tomorrow we're going to the bank. You'll show everything, all the transfers, all the conversations, and then we'll decide what to do. Linda, I don't want trouble. Margaret, you already have trouble. You're living on bread and water, not buying your pills. They've squeezed you dry like a lemon and thrown you away. This isn't love, this is exploitation. Margaret cried. Linda hugged her. The next day, April 16th, 2025, they came to the bank. I was still working then. Met them in the conference room. Linda explained briefly. I requested the statement, read silently, then looked at Margaret. Mrs. Cooper, in 18 months, you transferred $42,300 to your relatives. They returned $0. You have $1,247 in your account. Do you understand this is called financial exploitation? She nodded, said nothing. Do you want to file a police report? No. I just want them to stop asking. I want to learn to say no, but I can't.
I sighed. Mrs. Cooper, I'll help you, but you need to understand one thing. Boundaries aren't a wall. They're a door with a lock. You can open it when you want, but you decide, not the people standing outside pounding on it. Over the following weeks, we worked together. I gave Margaret simple rules. Rule 1, no loans in your name for anyone, ever. Rule 2, financial help only from your free balance, what remains after all mandatory expenses, utilities, food, medication. Rule 3, every request for help gets discussed with a third party, Linda or me, not an immediate answer, a pause. Rule 4, any help given without guilt. Either I can or I can't. Both options are normal. Margaret wrote them down, repeated them, but the hardest part was ahead, telling her children. April 20th, 2025, she texted David. David, I need to talk to you seriously. Please come over. David came 3 days later, April 23rd, sat in the kitchen, sullen. Margaret trembled, but began. David, I can't give you money anymore. Mom, we already discussed this. No, please listen to me. I can't anymore. I don't have money. I can barely make ends meet. The last 6 months I haven't been buying proper medication. I don't leave the apartment because I'm afraid to spend anything extra, and I don't want to live like this anymore. David was silent. I understand you have problems, but I have problems too, and I can't solve your problems at the expense of my health. Are you serious?
Yes, serious. And I also want you to visit not just when you need money. If you're my son, be my son, not a reverse creditor. David stood up, his face red. I see, so that's how you are now. Fine, you'll get what you want. He left. Didn't slam the door, just left, quietly. Margaret sat in the kitchen and cried for a long time. But then she dried her tears, and for the first time in many months felt something unfamiliar. Relief. 2 months passed. David didn't call. Jennifer didn't either. Tyler texted once. Grandma, how are you? She replied, Fine, Tyler. How's school? He answered, Good. Then silence again. June 2025. Margaret started attending a support group for seniors organized by the local library. There she met other women with similar stories. Turned out she wasn't alone. Turned out they were many. Silent. Ashamed. Afraid. Her Social Security started accumulating. The account reached $1,800, then $3,000, then $4,500. Margaret bought herself a new blouse, the first in 3 years. Went to a movie with Linda. Bought a cake for her birthday. Small joys, but they meant more than they seemed. In July, David called, his voice quiet. Mom, hi. Hello, David. How are you? Fine. And you? Mom, I'm sorry. For everything. I realized I was wrong. Margaret said nothing. I want to come over. Just because. Not for money. Can I? Of course, David. Come over. He came July 15th, 2025. Brought flowers and cake. Sat in the kitchen. Talked about everything. His work, Tyler, the weather. Not about money. David left after 2 hours. Hugged her goodbye. Tight. Mom, I was really wrong. Forgive me. I forgive you, David. But the boundaries stay. I understand, Mom. I understand. Today, in December 2025, Margaret lives peacefully. David visits once a month, just to visit. Tyler sometimes stops by after class. Jennifer called recently. Apologized. The relationships aren't what they were, but they exist, and they're honest. Margaret learned to say no. Learned not to feel guilty for also being a human who needs to eat, get medical care, live. Learned not to give her last dollar to avoid being a bad mother. I, Robert Williams, retired in July 2025, started this YouTube channel to tell stories like this, not for views, for those who suffer in silence and shame, for those who think they're the only ones. No, you're not alone. Dear friends, if this story is about you, don't stay silent. Talk to someone, a neighbor, a friend, a bank employee. Boundaries can be built at any age. As long as you're alive, you have the right to say no. I'm 67 years old. I've seen many stories. This one is among the hardest and among the most important. Take care of yourself and your loved ones, but start with yourself.